I really started following music in the 90s, and because of that, I have something of a prejudice in favor of bands from that time. Many of the bands that I listened to back then, however, don't really sound quite the same now. A lot of them seem to have either lost their edge or they're exploring new territory, and sometimes that new territory is pretty good, sometimes it's not. And then there are the bands that haven't really changed at all. Some of the bands that haven't changed feel like they've gotten a bit stale, but some of them have a sound that never really seems to get old. And I put Rob Zombie into that latter category. He sounds pretty much exactly the same as he sounded in the 90s, and he sounds just as good. And the fact that John Five and Ginger Fish, formerly of Marilyn Manson, are in the band now adds to the 90s nostalgia. Like Ozzy Osbourne, Rob Zombie has one of those heavy metal voices that makes just about any song he sings sound great. And part of the charm of Rob Zombie is that he mixes in old horror movie samples and electronics, but he's able to do it in a way that doesn't come off as cheesy. He's also one of those metal singers who knows how to come up with hooks that get stuck in your head, like in the song Gang Gang Gong to Do Gong to Laga Raga. And while a lot of Rob Zombie's songs have that old-fashioned southern classic rock kind of sound, which I suppose makes it only natural that they would do a cover of We're an American Band, he's always managed to work in a little bit of the electronic as well, like in the song Rock and Roll in a Black Hole, and The Girl Who Loved the Monsters. And you wouldn't normally think that the two would mix, but Rob Zombie makes it work. And all of my favorite metal songs, even when they're using a conventional drum kit, have the kind of beat that you would expect to hear in more of a dance music song. That kind of beat just seems to fit really well with a lot of metal songs, and Rob Zombie is especially good at writing those kinds of metal songs. He uses synthesizers for a lot of the bass lines, but most of the time when you hear synths, it's more of that old-fashioned kind of organ sound that you would hear at a creepy circus. This and the old horror movie samples give the songs that sort of 1950s kind of feel, while at the same time they managed to mix it with something of an industrial kind of sound. Their cover of We're an American Band doesn't deviate from the original all that much, and that kind of classic rock is not usually my style, but Rob Zombie makes it work. So if you like Rob Zombie, I can't imagine that you would be disappointed with this album. He does pretty much what he's always done, and he does it just as well as he ever has.